50, 45, there goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow! Oh my God! Auburn wins. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl in the most unbelievable fashion you will ever see.
Oh, good to be back in your lives, everyone. Welcome into a brand new edition of the Dream Wager, episode 428. We are presented, as always, by Viva Tequila Seltzer. A little more on them in just a little, but today is Friday, August 9th, 2024. Elvis football is back, kid. I mean, I don't know if you've been watching it, but my boy Eric Gray from the Giants, he is having himself a fucking day. I'll tell you that much. 2 touchdowns already. No, it's preseason, but yeah, football is fucking back, kid.
Yeah. You know, I see the Patriots. You got a lead at half as of right now. You know, you know me. I'm not going to really tune too much in until the starters are on the field. So hopefully next week we see a little more, you know, the starters playing. But other than that, though, I'm excited that football is back. But you know, I'm ready for the real thing.
Yeah, 100%. Ready for the real thing. It will be here in just under 30 days. Can you believe it? We are locked and loaded. We'll finish up the AFC West. Great interview with Pete Nova of the Face Off Network Sports. We interview him and we talk about the Broncos, their future, their present, what he likes. And he's a big fantasy guy as well. So he'll dive into some fantasy notes as well. We got some plays for the Broncos and Raiders. We got 15 or 16 game. I know there's a doubleheader for Friday as well on the Diamond. And we'll end in Paris with some basketball plays. I know United States, they barely snuck by Serbia here on Thursday. But I want to start in the NFL with CeeDee Lamb. News broke out today. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, he talked to the media today after practice. And this is quote, he said, they asked him about contract talks with CeeDee Lamb. And quote, I don't have an urgency to get it done, end quote. I mean, CeeDee Lamb responded and quote tweeted it and said, LOL. He removed America's team from his bio. Things are getting dicey. He's, you know, I think he does have leverage, but I mean, it's August 9th, kid. We're about 3.5 weeks away from this NFL start of the season. What do you see happening? I don't know. I think, to be honest, he's saying he doesn't have urgency. I don't believe that at all. He has to have it. He's their best player.
I think Jerry Jones is just
manipulator.
Not just that. I think he's playing real hardball negotiation tactics. We all know Jerry Jones, one, historically pays his players, and honestly, when he plays his players, he's usually the highest paid player in the NFL at their position. We saw it with Zeke. We saw it with Dak. We saw it at multiple positions. Zach Martin, you name it. This deal needs to get done. Will Jerry Jones do it? I'm not sure. Will Stephen Jones do it? I think so. Somebody has to do it. At the end of the day, we spoke about it. The Cowboys have absolutely no chance, in my opinion, on even being contenders. The division. If the Cowboys have any chance of being competitive, you need CeeDee Lamb on your roster. We saw CeeDee Lamb set Cowboys records last season. We make the case he had a top 3 season. He might be a top 3 receiver right now. I'm not gonna debate you about it, but if you want to put CD right there, I might agree with you. So I just feel like if the Cowboys have any desire to be successful this season, have a winning season, have a chance to compete, not just for the Super Bowl, for the NFC title, you need CeeDee Lamb on your roster. So, to me, if Jerry Jones is dead serious about this, I think he's the goddamn fool. But I honestly think, all jokes aside, that I think he's just playing hardball. And he said that just to, you know, maybe for his agent to make a call. But like, yo, what's going on with that? You know, so I honestly think we'll see a deal done soon, not ASAP, but I say, you know, August 25th, around there.
Do you think do you think CD has leverage on them?
Yeah. You know why? CeeDee Lamb can sit out this year and get a fully guaranteed or damn near $100 million guaranteed contract next season.
Yeah.
You know, would it suck? Yes. But at the end of the day, we know CeeDee Lamb is one of the best wide receivers in football. We know if the Cowboys has any chance of being competitive, they need CeeDee Lamb in the roster. If they're able to bring, get Brandon Ayuk on a trade or something like that, okay. Now the Cowboys could possibly cook with something. But if you're telling me your number one wide receiver is going to be Brandon Cooks, no disrespect to Brandon Cooks, you're solid. You're not a number one for the Dallas Cowboys. So I just feel like the CeeDee Lamb, he does have a little leverage. I'm gonna give him 55 to 45, just because it is $17 million. I think he'll at least come back sometime in the season, maybe miss a couple games, but I do expect him to be back. But I just don't see him, one, missing the whole season, and two, why risk, not playing the whole season and doing more damage for yourself? I would say at least stick it out. Come in Thursday of walkthroughs, like September 3rd, September something, and play week 1. If I'm CD, that's what I would do. But if I'm Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, I'm trying to get a deal done, 4 or 5 year term, because we know CD Lamb is going to be the top wide receiver for the next few years to come.
That's what's so confusing, because we've been talking about this for about, a little over a month now, and we keep saying, CeeDee Lamb should get paid. He deserves to get paid. But at the end of the day, do you ever see him? I just don't see him pulling a Le'Veon Bell and not playing. I mean, at the end of the day, 8 or 17.9, whatever it is, it's still something as opposed to getting nothing. I mean, are you really going to, it's like the saying, you're going to bite your nose off to spite yourself. Are you really going to do that?
Realistically, I think he could not play the first 8 weeks of the season and still get his $17 million.
But if he does that, my problem is Jerry Jones. He's not going to like that. He's going to be like, now you want to get paid? You sat out. Like, what if they struggle? We'll talk about Dallas in, I think, 2 weeks. But like, what if Dallas struggles out of the gate and, the first 8-9 weeks, like you say, that's a long time, kid.
Well, whose fault is that? It's Jerry Jones' fault.
I think it's a combination. I think CD wants a lot, and I think Jerry's not willing to pay him what he wants. I think it's a combination.
I understand. It's not about what he wants, it's what he's worth, though. The going market right now.
But let's be honest. Do you think CD Lamb is asking for more than what he's worth? I think so.
I think he's asking what Justin Jefferson got,
which he shouldn't get.
I think he should be around that ball.
Around it, but he should be under it.
Even if it's $500,000 more on the guarantee side, I think the Dallas Cowboys should honestly sign it and offer that contract. You got to get this deal done. The one thing I can honestly say is Cowboys do have an interesting situation, because you got to pay Dak, you got to pay CD, you got to pay Minka Parsons. So maybe Jerry Jones is like, you know what? I can live without CD. I'm going to take care of Dak and Minka Parsons. But he's doing neither of the other options.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not taking care of CD.
Yeah, if he was able to get a long-term deal done with Dak and Minka, okay, all right, Jerry Jones, I see why you can't. But if no long-term deals are getting done for either, why not sign CD Lamb? You need him right now.
Yeah, I know you make a great point. It's like you have to sign all three. You're not doing either, and you make all these comments about CD Lamb, but at the end of the day, you're not helping Minka Parsons on the end. He's making nowhere near what he should be making.
$3 million.
Yeah. I think they're going to tag him. They're going to have to tag him because they just don't have the money. Like, financially right now, they fuck themselves. So I think something we could all universally agree on is Cowboys are much better when CD Lamb is on the field. They need him. Dak needs him. And you're right. I mean, we're all Brandon Cook fans, but at the end of the day, your team is much better when you have CD Lamb on the other side of the field, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other wide receiver is Joshua Tolbert, something like that. And then, I like the tight end Ferguson, but
I mean, they're not even up to the level. We say it all the time. There's levels to it. And no disrespect to the other guys, but CD is a top 5 receiver. And I'm being very generous right there.
We saw multiple games last season where CD was the difference maker. CD took the game over. CD was able to break a tackle and then go 40 yards.
Yeah, so we'll see there. Hopefully it does get fixed out. But shout out my boy Harrison Buckkicker, highest paid kicker in the league. I mean, and he represented himself 4 years, $25.6 million, $17.7 million guaranteed. He's locked into Kansas City through 2028. He negotiated a deal by himself, so shout out him. But $6.4 million per year he's making. Justin Tucker is second at $6 million. I think it's deservingly so, regardless of all the antics and things he said in the offseason. On the field, he's one of the best kickers in the league.
Yeah, I saw it firsthand. When a couple years ago, I saw uh, Patrick Mahomes versus Brady up in Foxborough. He was able to kick a ball, and I tell you, though, no lie, it felt like it was 10 degrees out. And so I
Yeah.
can imagine it was colder on the field. So
Yeah.
that football was honestly was kicking like a brick, and that kid made it 40 sign plus, to take the lead.
Easy.
So and not for now, we saw Butner hit multiple you know, game winning, game tying, or just, huge field goals throughout these playoffs, throughout these three Super Bowl runs. I understand they just went back to back, but 4 years ago they made a Super Bowl trip and Butler made some huge kicks. So I just
Hmm.
feel like, Butler, I know a lot of people won't give him the credit, but to me, in my opinion, he's a top three kicker, and I'll put him right under Justin Tucker just because the the elements he play at.
Yeah.
We all know we know Dill, Kansas City is not an easy place to play. It gets cold there, and then look at the places you got to go on the road as well. So I know some of these kickers, they might have like a better percentage, or they go better from like the extra point. But when it comes down to it, in a freezing cold late playoff game to win the game, I want Justin Tucker and Butler on my team.
Yeah. Harrison Bucker, 6.4 million per year. He's the highest paid kicker. Justin Tucker at 6, and I think a low key third. I hate the team, but Jake Elliott is really good as well. He makes about 6 million as well. Matt Gay too of the
Matt
Indianapolis
Gay,
Colts.
yeah,
He's another one, and your boy Graham Gano. 5.5 million he's making, Graham Gano. Real quick on the 49ers, besides the Brandon Ayuk thing, and what we discussed it a little with Pete. Christian McCaffrey, he suffered a calf strain. He's not going to participate. They said they winded up signing Matt Breida just in case.
he's been
8-year
there.
vet. Yeah, he's been there. He rushed for 1,900 yards as a 49er from 2017 to 2099. He has familiarity with the playbook. He was under Kyle Shanahan. I thought it was a good signing just in case.
Yeah, it's better safe than sorry. And we know Christian McCaffrey is one of the most durable running backs in all of football. Let's just be real. But
Yeah.
we could agree that he's a little past, not past his prime, but he's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
You know, a calf injury is not to play with, especially with a running back. That could possibly linger throughout the season. I hope it don't, because I hope I draft Christian McCaffrey in some leagues realistically, but I think he'll be just fine. Better to get the injury now than it is during the season. So, but I think Matt Breida, and to be honest, though, whatever running back is in that rotation, he's gonna get
Yeah.
yards. He's gonna get yards. We can honestly say that Kyle Shanahan he's an offensive guru, borderline genius, especially in the run scheme.
Yeah.
Just line it up behind Trent Williams, you'll be able to get some yards. So great signing for them, who's been there and done that for that coach and line.
Yeah, I thought it was a good sign. Do you want to, like you said, just want to be safe than sorry. Let's go over to the hardwood before we talk about United States coming back 17 points from Serbia. We talked about all this whole offseason and free agency. Where's Laurie Markin going to go? Yeah, he's staying put. 5 years, $238 million extension, 220 in new money. He had 1 year left. He was set to make around 18 million this season. He adds another 24 million, 4 years, 196 million. He has no options. A weird note of this extension, it precludes Laurie Markkinen from being traded for 6 months, which pushes him past the February 6th trade deadline and means he isn't eligible to be moved until next offseason if they want to move him. But I think he's worth the contract. He's a good all-star. I wouldn't say he's an all-pro. Maybe he could get there, but he's a consistently all-star. I'll say that.
Yeah, we saw him elevate his game in these past, season or two. I think he's definitely emerging. I wouldn't go superstar just yet, though, but I give him a shot. So we know he's lethal from the 3-point line. He's getting a little more aggressive, driving the ball as well. So I feel like he's still young. Give him another 2, maybe 3 more seasons. Maybe he could, develop his game a little more. But to be honest, I thought he was gonna get traded. I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised that that deal got done. We heard, Golden State, a couple other teams in the mix. And, Jazz was like, you know what? We don't see nothing we like. We might as well just pay the man and let's possibly build something around him. Who knows? But I like Larry. I think he could possibly develop to be something special. And right now, he's pretty damn good. So it just sucks that he's in a kind of a sorry situation in Utah. So not too many eyes are going to be focused on him. But if you just tune in and look at the numbers he put it up from the field, you'll be like, yeah, Larry's balling.
Yeah, and to be honest, he's their number one option. I mean, it's his team. 21-7-6 a night. I mean, that's good on any other team. And yeah, he just gets overshadowed because he plays out there in a small market in Utah. But
I guarantee Utah has less than 20 televised games.
yeah,
the
at
whole year.
least.
Yeah.
At least. So yeah, I'm happy he got the money. It's unfortunate that we really don't get to see him play all that much. But if you look at the box score, Lauri Markkanen is a baller. So, and I agree. I don't think he's a superstar yet. He could be possibly turn into it. I think he's an all-star by far, but not a superstar. But I do think he's
not
worth
a
the
top
contract.
15 yet.
No,
maybe
not at
top
all.
30. You know.
Credit the United States 5-0. We get past Serbia. I mean, it took a whole fourth quarter. We outscored them 32-15 in the fourth quarter. We came back from 17 down. What a fucking game from Steph Curry. We were honest. We were a little too honest, I would say, on the podcast, saying, Steph Curry hasn't really showed up this Olympics. Oh, he showed up tonight. 9 fucking threes, 9 for 14 behind the arc. He had 36 points. Pains me to say I root against this guy every day of my life, but Joel Embiid actually had a really good game, 19 points, 4 rebounds. Like you said, I think he scored like 7-8 points in a row. He got the block late as well. Really good game. First really complete game, I would say, from the starting unit. I mean, the only guy on the bench that really scored was Kevin Durant. Outside of that, it was mostly the starters outside of Devin Booker and Drew Holiday, which they didn't really do anything. But outside of that, I thought the team played well. Obviously, Jokic, he went crazy again, 17 and 11. Bogdanovic had a good game. He had 20 points as well. But tough game, but United States wins, kid.
Yeah, it was a great game to watch. So anybody that was able to watch the game, especially second half and on, I would have paid. If like say the game was over, they were like, you gotta pay $2.99 for what you watched.
Are you paying that?
I'm paying that. That was such a great game. Give credit to Serbia. They were shooting. They were shooting at one point. I think through 3 quarters, 50% from the 3-point line, 15 for 30. They made 5 threes per quarter the first 3 quarters, and then USA was able to put the clamps down. Joel Embiid. Give credit to him. He kind of took over the game in the fourth quarter. Offensively, he scored like 7 to 9 points in a row. Got a huge block. LeBron started doing his thing, started cooking. He had himself a triple-double. Only one other person was ever had a triple-double in the Olympics. Can you name him?
You're throwing me the question. Good one. Carmelo Anthony.
It's LeBron James.
Oh,
who would have thought? Only happened twice ever. Done by one man. Some say he's a GOAT. So and then to be honest, Steph had himself a tremendous game, 9 threes, 36 points, 12 from 19 from the field. He had a couple of layups as well. Clutch free throws at the end to basically ice the game. I understand the elephant in the room is why Jason Tatum ain't play again. I don't have an answer for that.
Matchups.
Steve Kerr's going to say matchups. I'm going to go with matchups. Definitely when we were down 17, even in the third quarter, early in the fourth, when we were down, 12, 14 points, I was thinking to myself, Jason Tatum looks pretty fresh,
That's what I was saying. Watching the fourth quarter, kid, I was saying there's not a position, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's not a position where I was like, Tatum would do well right now. Like, what are we doing? Put the guy in.
I'm not going to hold you there when all these dudes for Sarah kept hitting these tough. That's the thing. They were hitting tough shots. I was like, Tatum is 6'9", 6'8". He's an elite defender. Why he's not on the floor? This is like midway the third quarter. They just hit another 3 to get the lead back up to double digits. We call it timeout, and I see Tatum. I'm like, dude, didn't even break a sweat. I'm like, Kerr, we got to put him in the game. So, shout out, USA for coming back, especially in the fourth quarter, locking up and just, both sides. Offensively, boards, defensively, it was impressive to watch. Shout out Serbia, great game, shot tremendous from the 3-point line, but USA just put them clamps on, and then the fourth quarter, it was LeBron, KD, and Steph time with a little bit of Embiid. So the only honest, critique I have is we need to find some minutes for Jason Tatum. He's a top 15 player, and I'm not gonna say I hate the Celtics, but I'm not no Celtics advocate. All I'm saying is Jason Tatum deserves at least 15 minutes a night.
At
That's
least. I don't mind Halliburton sitting down, but yeah,
Yo,
Jason Tatum needs to play. I mean, he's a champion. At the end of the day, I hate the Celtics with all my heart, but I wouldn't even say top 15. I think at times he could be a top 10 player. So it's ridiculous that he doesn't even get 5 minutes into the game, let alone any. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, you're right. Serbia was hitting tough shot after tough shot. I mean, there's a bunch of ballers, and I think the rest of the world has kind of caught up to us, man. There's some ballers on some of these teams. Were you concerned LeBron and Kate and Steph were going to kiss after the game?
Come on, though. Come on.
I mean, they got fucking close, kid. I mean,
it's called pride for your country.
Oh,
dude.
my God.
Come
I got
on.
pride for this country.
You saw how hyped. Was you watching the game?
Yeah.
You saw how hype Embiid was when he got that offensive foul call on Jokic when he hit him.
He's not even playing for his real country. Let's stop.
But you saw the emotion. We were down 5 or 7 at that point. Do you see the emotion from Joel? Did you at least appreciate that deal?
Not really. Not from him.
Yo, come
Not
on.
from him. I just think honestly, when he grabbed his face and they were screaming each other's face, I said, kiss. You guys have to kiss at that point. So it was just fucking crazy to me. But yeah, the big win for them. Germany, surprisingly, I picked Germany. I thought they were going to win, kid, but here comes France coming back to another gold medal game. You got to give it up for France. And Wemby didn't even have a good game. I mean, Wemby didn't have a good game. And I'll say this. You trade all these draft picks and Rudy Gobert gets benched on his national team.
3 minutes.
I mean, that's very telling. I don't know what Minnesota's doing or their plan for the future, but Rudy's a shell of himself lately, or he's just having a bad Olympics.
At the end of the day, Rudy Gobert is one of the best. I'm honestly, I'm gonna say it. He's one of the greatest defensive players of all time. He has 3 defensive players of the year. I hate to say it, but it's the truth, still. He's one of the greatest defensive players of all time. It's crazy that I'm saying that because I really don't agree, but it's the facts. He is. From his statistics, he is. He's a defensive specialist, Dale. We know what he is offensively. He's a liability offensively. So
But my question, and I agree to a certain extent, I think he is really good on defense, and that's what he's getting paid for. Mm-hmm. But if you can't get into the game, what good are you for your team or for your country at this matter?
I understand that, but it's all about one matchup and teams.
Fuck out of here, Steve.
No, realistically, you have 2 giants on the floor. You don't need 2 giants on the floor with Wemby and Rudy. Wemby could do much more ball handling, pick it up than what Rudy can. He can shoot the ball from the outside. He can do so much more pick and rolls than Rudy can. Rudy, yeah, he could play great defense, but is that gonna get you the win? So I just feel like it all comes down to matchups. Put it like this, though, in the gold medal game, if Wendy's in foul trouble, guess who's gonna play 20+ minutes? Rudy Gobert. So I just feel like they was able to win that game without him. That's all. So yeah, I'm not gonna take too much of it. We know what Rudy Gobert is. We all know what he is. Though we all hear the criticism what he is and what. I think he's just a solid player who's honestly talented on the defensive side of the ball. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And they beat Canada, which they were underdogs in that game as well. And Evan Fournier was just lighting him up from 3. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty cool to see.
Couldn't get a minute as a Knick. He went crazy.
I mean, there's 2 Knicks, even Frank Ntilikina. My man's balling. I mean, he's not really doing. He's he's on the team.
Phil Jackson, first-round pick.
I'm telling you, bro. They out there trying to compete for a gold. So I love it. We have the gold medal games. I think on Saturday. Yeah, obviously Saturday because the Olympics end on Sunday.
Serbia plays the bronze games at 5:30 a.m.
Ooh.
Good luck to anybody who won. Should be a good game, but you got to miss me 5:30 on a Saturday, and then the USA. France play at 3:30.
Yeah. So right now, Serbia is kind of a pick 'em close on the books, -1.5, -105 on the money line. Over unders at 169. Kid, we were 15. I think it closed around 15, maybe 16 against Serbia. We didn't cover, obviously. We haven't covered against a lot of people. Now, gold medal game, we're 16-point favorites against France. I would have to take the points. I mean, 17 is crazy. Gold medal game against a team like France. Right?
It'll depend still. If we come out with the same defensive intensity we came out to, let's just say like South Sudan, who we took serious, the second matchup, I feel like we could cover. If we got to come out and play press. If we play, look at how we played in the fourth quarter today. If we play the defense like we did in the start of the fourth quarter against Serbia today, the whole game, we're going to hold them to under 75 points still. Let's just be honest. That defense, when they play like that and they really clamp down, Devin Booker, even Steph played great defense. You know what? Let me give some credit to Steph real quick. Steph had played great defense today down the stretch. I thought he was going to be a liability. I thought they were going to attack him. No, he got a couple steals still. So even Steph played great defense. When they lock down, when they got that squad in AD, Joel, Jason Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, KD, even LeBron at times, that's an elite defensive squad right there, though. So if you got 3 or 4 of those guys on the floor at all times, I think it could be tough for France. So it'll depend realistically if USA comes out with that defensive integrity. If they don't bring it out to the fourth quarter, of course France is going to cover. If we see it in the first,
but that's what it's kind of looked like this whole, I guess, tournament run. They don't really come out with that intensity or urgency until the second half.
We saw it once against
South Sudan. Yeah, but that's South Sudan. They can't do that against France. I'll say that. But I agree. If they let them hang around, France is going to hang around. But yeah, kid, that's all I got for the weekend. Let's go into our plays. Before we do that, and before we get to our great interview with Pete Nova, a quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market. It's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like how we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing around a golf with the boys, or a coconut, new flavor, coconut, watching the Olympics, it doesn't matter. Our flavors pair perfectly with that Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at the Dream Wager and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. And now, here is our interview with Pete Nova. All right, great interview with Pete, all Face Off Sports Network. I mean, he's a little higher on the Broncos than I am, man, but love to have him on again. We had a little fantasy. We got into Brandon Ayuk a little bit as well. Some notes for all the beginners of fantasy. So great to have Pete on. I want to start with ours, and I want to start with the Broncos, kid. So not a lot, I feel like. Just like we talked with Pete.
Not much.
And like I said with him, and I think he agrees, even being a Bronco fan, not much we could touch on. Super Bowl, AFC West. Let's start with the win total. 5.5, -102 towards the over. Favored the under, -120. Pete, he gave us a good, compelling argument and almost swayed me just a little. But I still got to go under, kid. They're only favored in 2 games. They're underdog in 15 games so far before the start of this season. Their schedule's hard. They have the 8th hardest schedule in the league. And, I feel like last year's record, they won, how many games did they win last season off the top?
7?
7. Yeah, 7 games. And, I think their record last year was correlated to, and I said it with Pete, to their turnover margin. Their success rate was due to the turnover lack, not rather than their offense or how good their defense was. They were 8-1 when they won the turnover margin, but they were 0-8 when they lost it. So I think we're going to see them come back down to earth a little bit as well. We mentioned Russ and being like the dead cap and almost all the money that they had, they weren't able to go out and add any talent to their roster. So I think that was a kind of a layer that I really didn't like that they were. I like Josh Reynolds. I do like him. Pete talked about him as well. I think he's having a good camp. He might be a good piece for that offense. And just the schedule, like I mentioned, eighth toughest schedule, and they have the second toughest pass defenses and second toughest run defenses as well. We think they're going to run the ball a lot because they don't really have that much on the outside besides Cortland Sutton. I do like Troy Franklin as well, the guy from Oregon that they drafted. But outside of that, rookie quarterback, they don't have the experience. I do like Sean Payton. I think he's a hell of a coach, but it's not a lot of work to work with, kid. I got to go under here.
Yeah, Dale, same. I'm going under 5.5. I just don't see it. I want to give Sean Payton and his Broncos team the benefit of the doubt, to get over 5.5 games just to win 6. But when you really look at the schedule and you really count it up, Dale, I gave them the benefit of the doubt and I still got under 5.5. So realistically, I counted 4 wins. Give them an extra one. I'm gonna take. You know what? Give me 5 wins at plus 500. I give them a shot to win 5 games. Possibly. In my opinion, the division got much better while the Broncos actually kind of stood stagnant. The Raiders, in my opinion, they got better. The Chargers, I understand they didn't do much, but I think Jim Harbaugh and a healthy Justin Herbert, it's going to lead to more wins and have a better season that they had last year. And I'm not even going to mention the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. So I just feel like the division got a little better and the Broncos stood about the same. And you bringing in a rookie quarterback. And if it's not a rookie quarterback, let's just be honest. Jerry Stidham or Zach Wilson, it ain't, they're not going to be a top 20 quarterback this season. So unless Sean Payton could pull something out of his ass or that defense is playing at a very high level, I just don't see it. So give me the under 5.5 wins and I'm gonna throw my bone 5 wins at plus 500.
Yeah, to make the playoffs plus 820, no one's doing that as well. Maybe not this year. Now, you mentioned Bo Nix, and we talked about it with Pete, and I think it's a great job by Adam Schefter. It was a slow day for tweets and NFL news, so he starts tweeting out the roster depth chart. And they do this a bunch, a lot, especially with rookies. Pete explained it really well. They listed Bo Nix as third starter. He's not going to be the third. He's going to be the starter. I mean, you draft this kid, he's going to start. They're blown away with how smart he is, how he could pick up the defenses as well. I want to get your opinion. Minus 230 for him to be the starting quarterback. Jared Stidham at second at plus 186, or my boy Zach Wilson at 35-1. Kid, what do you like?
I'm gonna take Bo. I wouldn't bet it personally. It's a little juice, but it's juice for a reason. I think Bo Nix is honestly the best option. Let's not forget, people. He's not like a kid. Bo Nix is 24 years old. He's been around the block. He had
6 years in college.
6 years. I was gonna say 5.
Yeah.
6 years in college. So the kid's been there and done that. And I understand it's the NFL is the next level, but he's not gonna be as deer in headlights as these other rookies might be the first couple games of the season. So, and overall, the Broncos have a decent offense. It's not great, but like Cortland Sutton, pretty good wide receiver. Marvin Mims Jr., he's solid. Josh Reynolds, you mentioned him, he's pretty damn good. But let's not forget, people, Tim Patrick, before he got hurt last season, we was expecting some things from Tim Patrick. So let's see how he looks coming back from that injury. So to me, it's gonna be a long season for the Denver Broncos, but I could see why, possibly they could make some noise, but it's just the schedule, though. The schedule is too tough. Don't get me wrong, I see the talent. I like, Williams, the running back, pretty good. Like I said, Cortland, Tim Patrick, Josh Reynolds. I even like the tight end, Greg Dulcich.
Yeah, Dulcich.
He's good too. And then the defense, if they play like they played, last season, even the year prior, it's a pretty good defense at times. So to me, it's just a tough schedule, and we got to see how Bo Nix come out week 1. But overall, Sean Payton's going to have a long season.
No running back props. There are Bo Nix props, but I kind of would stay away. Is passing. It's hard to gauge because I don't think they're going to pass all that much. You mentioned the 3 wide receivers, and they're okay. A lot of them were deke and dunks in the middle of the field, nothing too deep. I think they're going to run behind that offensive line. That's their strength, this team, is their offensive line. They have a really good offensive line. I think they're going to run the ball with Javonte Williams a lot. So, Cortland Sutton, his receiving yards, 800.5. And, you and I talked to Pete about it, and it seems low on the surface, but I actually would kind of stay away from it, to be honest, because I just don't think they're really going to pass all that often. So I want nothing to do with Cortland Sutton. His receiving touchdowns, his receiving yards, his receptions at 60.5. I don't like that either, like, to be honest. And he even mentioned, like, he kind of would stay away from him in fantasy unless he drops to you late, maybe a wide receiver 4, possibly. I just want nothing to do with Cortland Sutton this year, man.
I feel a little different though, but I'm gonna tell you why. We both agree the Broncos are gonna have a bad season. We both pick them to go under wins. I think there will be sellers come trade deadline, and then Cortland Sutton ends up somewhere, possibly in a pretty good situation. Maybe you're New York
No,
Jets.
we getting Devontae Adams, kid.
You see, why you can't just take one little compliment, but you want to go shoot for the moon? Why you can't just take a star? Why you can't just be that's a nice piece right there, Cortland Sutton. That's a nice piece, still. So I'm gonna go with the over 800.5 because I just feel like he'll get traded at the trade deadline to a contender or somebody trying to make a push. Hey, maybe put like this. Let's see if we see Cortland Sutton get traded to Jacksonville. You don't think he'll have a nice, pretty good 5, 6, 7 game stretch for Jacksonville to end the season? I think so. So it all depends what scenario, what situation. But I feel like Cortland Sutton, he was in trade speculations last season come trade deadline. I think if those same talks arrive, I think he'll get dealt deal. So I'm gonna go with the over 800.5 in hopes he gets traded come deadline and he ends up, in a situation like Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, somewhere like that, who a wide receiver goes down, or they just need that extra option to make that playoff push.
All right, let's go to anything else on the Broncos that I forgot, because I feel like that's the only really thing we could talk about.
That's really it, or hey, if the Cowboys even make a call week 9, week 10 for Cortland Sutton, who knows? Who knows, still?
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's go over to the Raiders because there's much more to talk about. Brock Bowers, I like Devontae Adams, going to be a New York Jet. Zaire White, no quarterback props because who knows? It might be Minshew Mania or Aiden O'Connell. We saw AP really like him and kind of the team rally around him as well. Before we get into player props, Super Bowl 100-1. I'm not going to touch that. AFC 60-1. Not going to touch that. They do have the third best odds, but this is one of the toughest divisions. And when you have a 2-time back-to-back champions and Patrick Mahomes in your division, I'm sorry, you could give me 11-1. I'm still not going to touch him for the win of the division. So not going to touch him at plus 900. Win total is very interesting. 6.5 minus 138 towards the over, plus 112 towards the under. Favored in only 2 games, underdogs in 15, but their win total is 6.5. Kid, I want to get your opinion first because I think I have a different take.
You definitely do, Dill. Give me the over 6.5 wins at minus 138. And this is a special one, though. Give me to win 8 games at plus 600. I understand why you're definitely thinking different than me, Dill, but let's not forget. Look at the point where Antonio Pierce took over the team. That team went over 500. That was a winning team. When Antonio Pierce took over, that was a top 5 defense. That was a top 3 scoring defense. That defense elevated, though. You can admit that Max Crosby started playing like an animal under Antonio Pierce. So I think that's what we're going to see. I understand, right now they're having a quarterback battle. As of right now, we don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. But we saw Aiden O'Connell after that bad game where they couldn't score points, and then they scored 45 the next one. I give him a shot to start. I think he'll be okay. I personally like Gardner Minshew a little more. I think Gardner Minshew can honestly make this team a threat for the 7th seed. I say that. But still, I'm high on the Raiders. I like this team defensively. I think they're going to be maybe a top 5, but definitely a top 10 defense. It all depends who's going to be the starting quarterback and how do they look. If we get Gardner Minshew from last year in Indianapolis, I think the Raiders could be something. You got Devontae Adams, you got Brock Bowers, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Zaire White. The offense is pretty damn good. The defense is gonna be a top 5, top 10 defense. Still, I like their chances. Give me over 6.5 wins, and give me to win 8 games at plus 600.
Yeah, well, we've been doing this pod long enough where you definitely know where I'm going. Yeah, I'm going to take the under at plus money just because few reasons. Like I said, I don't love their schedule. It's a hard schedule to begin with. The quarterback position is the biggest question mark. It's a very big concern. I like Aiden O'Connell. I like Gardner Minshew, but neither were that impressive despite both seeing a lot of playing time. So, and just like the quarterback situation, the Raiders also lack serious depth in the running back position. Yeah, they lost Josh Jacobs, but Zamir White and Alexander Madison, not household names. I mean, they have the 29th rated running back room in the league. They don't have the best offensive line, rated 18th in the league. So I don't really think they're going to really run the ball all that much. And, I think they had a solid stretch, but I just don't think they're really going to do anything running the ball. So I'm going to stay away from that. And they failed to come back. I think that was the biggest thing for me. Vegas struggled to rally in 2023, especially from week 8. From week 9 on, after Antonio Pierce took over, the Raiders were unable to come back from a 7-point deficit. They lost every game in which they trailed by 7 points or more. Every game. That's concerning. I like Antonio Pierce. I think he's a good coach. I think he will become a good coach. But I think he has a lot to prove, if I'm being honest. I mean, he's only been a coach for a minute, and they can't come back. That shows me a good coach. If your team could fight and could come back, I just don't like them, kid. I don't think they have a good quarterback situation. Offensive line, middle of the pack. I don't like their running back room. Receivers, if they all stay, yeah, I think they have a top 15 receiving room. Front 7, yes. Defense, they have a top 10 front 7, especially with Max Crosby. We'll talk about that. I love their defense. Secondary is a little not the best. It's rated 24th, but their front 7, they are going to get after the quarterback. Yeah, they're going to get after the quarterback.
And remember, they signed Watkins too. So
yeah, Christian Watkins, he's a fucking beast on that front. Yeah, I like that.
Is coming, and
yeah.
And let's not forget how well that defense looked at times. Remember, that defense was toying with Patrick Mahomes. Let's not forget how bad the reigning Super Bowl MVP looked against that defense. So I even give them a shot to upset the Chiefs one time, Dill. Wow. At home.
Yeah, they do play them well. And look,
they did it last season comfortably.
I was just gonna say with AP. Yeah. So I mean, and he said it. He went on a podcast recently, AP, and he doesn't do a lot of them, but he said if we had a strict game plan and if we neutralize 15 and what's Travis Kelce's number? 76? 87. If we neutralize those two guys, we're going to be in the game. And they were.
The same way the Buccaneers did in the Super Bowl. They got after the quarterback, made Patrick Mahomes get him out of his spot.
Top Bowls, baby.
You press Travis Kelce to delay the route because you gotta ruin their timing. Because Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, they've been doing this thing for about 7 years now. Trust me, that connection is all time. So you gotta ruin that timing a little bit, just a half a second. Trust me, that's all you need.
Are you gonna take a flyer on them to make the playoffs? Because you got them getting 8 wins. I know it's a gauntlet in the AFC, but plus 310.
I give them a shot. I don't love it, Dill, but to me, it's worth a sprinkle. You already know I like the Steelers to get there. The Bengals. I feel like it's gonna be 2 teams out the north, and then maybe your Jets.
Two out of the East.
No, 1. I said
really?
Yeah.
With the Dolphins, Jets, and the
I said maybe the Jets. I think that I have the Dolphins winning the division. I got the Bills missing, and I got either your Jets or the Colts or Jacksonville.
Interesting.
Those 3. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I do favor the Jets a little bit, but I have as my wild card, 5, 6, 7 is Steelers, your Jets, Colts.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch them to win or make the playoffs. I think they're on the right track. I'll say that to be positive. I do think AP is the guy. I think the team likes him. I think he's a player's coach. I just think they got to upgrade their quarterback position, whether it is Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. I don't think that's long-term their answer. And I think they need to get a better running back. But outside of that, I do like the team. Let's speak of the quarterbacks. Gardner Minshew, plus 110 to win the starting job week 1. Aiden O'Connell, minus 140. Very interesting. Because on the outside or just looking at the numbers, you would think, oh, Gardner Minshew's a lock to come in. They sign him in the offseason to come in and be the starter, kind of, guide Aiden O'Connell. But Aiden O'Connell is the guy that took the job from Carr. I mean, this is the team. This is the guy that the team, Garoppolo, and Garoppolo was on PEDs at that point. So Aiden O'Connell, I think minus 140, I think I would take a flyer on Aiden O'Connell if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm going Gardner Minshew plus 110. You bring him in, you gave him the contract. We saw how well he played last season. He was damn near a playoff quarterback. He was a game away from getting into the playoffs. So I think you got to roll with Gardner Minshew, Dale. Don't get me wrong. Aiden O'Connell, you got to give him a shot. But Gardner Minshew, he's been there and done that. He's been a pro. We saw what he did in Jacksonville. I saw him live against the Giants Eagles when he was in he played for the Eagles. So I just feel like we saw him do it in multiple occasions. I understand he's not the answer long term, which I agree with you, Dill. But I think he gives you the best. Honestly, he gives you the best chance to win this upcoming season. I think he's just a little better right now today.
That's fair. Yeah.
Than Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell could possibly develop to something. Yeah, absolutely. But I think Gardner Minshew, for what we saw these past few seasons, him coming in as a backup and then getting the starting job for a couple of weeks. We at one point we saying Minshew mania. We never said O'Connell mania, not for nothing. So I'm gonna go with Gardner Minshew at plus 110. And let's be honest, at the number, come on now.
Yeah. Defensive player of the year, Max Crosby, 10-1. He has the 5th best odds last season. Great year, 14.5 sacks. It was tied for 6th in the league. Any value here? I feel like I would need a little more than 10-1, but I do think he's live.
This is my pick. I hit it last year with Lamar. I'm going to go on the record saying my defensive player for the 2024 season will be Max Crosby, though. I said it. When AP took over, Max Crosby became a different player. We saw him just elevate his game. And I honestly think with Watkins coming in, Christian Watkins, I think his life will be a little easier. He will face less double teams now. Just because you got the big guy up the middle, so you could put him on the left side, you could put him on the right side. So now you even got more options. You can scheme him. You can even bring him in from a linebacker just because they're gonna have to use extra protection up the middle. So I just feel like he's gonna have more opportunities on one-on-ones, and he'll be able to get to the quarterback. So I think this is Max Crosby award and lose this year.
All right, let's go to Davante Adams, number 1 receiver on the team. His receiving yards is at 1,000, minus 110 both ways. Last time Davante Adams had under 1,000 yards was in 2019.
He was hurt.
Yeah, and he still put up 997 yards. In 2018, before that, another 1,300 yards. 2017, 885 yards. So he's always around. And last year, we could all agree he didn't have the best year, only 1,100 yards, still 15th in the league. And you saw it on the receivers. He goes, these people are trying to fucking kill me out here. He was playing multiple games hurt and still went over 1,000 yards. It's like a Mike Evans prop. He's just a guaranteed 1,000-yard receiver. So I got to take the over.
Yeah, I'm going over 1,500 at minus 112. Last season, Garoppolo struggled at times. I feel like Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew is going to perform better than Jimmy Garoppolo did. So if the fact that Davante was there, I think the exact number is 1,137.
1,144.
Oh, 44. If he was able to do that with Gardner Minshew, with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing a couple ducks for a couple weeks, I think he'll be back. I want to say 1,500, but I'm gonna give him a chance at 1,200 plus, still 1,250 plus. So give me Adams over 1,500, and then give me a little sprinkle at 1,250 at plus money.
What about his touchdown props? Because it's very interesting to me. It's at 6.5, even money, plus 100 towards the over, minus 120 towards the under. Now, I don't think he had 8 last season. It was top 10 in the league for receivers. I don't know. He had a career year in 2022. He had 14 touchdowns. I just don't know with the quarterback. That's my biggest problem. Who's going to be throwing him the ball? I think I would be a little more comfortable with Gardner Minshew because I think he slings it a little more. I guess gun to my head, I guess I would take the over, but I just don't know what they're going to do. I think in the goal line, they're going to run the ball with Zamir White. So I don't know. It'd probably be a stay away. Gun to my head, I probably would take the over just because it's at plus money.
Nah, I'm going over it, Dale. This man had 8 last season with Jimmy G. 14 the year prior with a pretty good Jimmy G. So the fact that we saw back-to-back seasons he goes over this number with the Raiders, and look what he did in Green Bay. Besides that one injury season in 2019, he had 5. He had 2021 11, 2020 18, 2018 13, 2017 10, 2016 12. I'm not saying he's gonna go over double digits, people, but over 6.5, I'll give me that.
I love his reception prop. It's at 82.5, minus 112 both ways. The last time he's gone under this was in 2017. Even in 2019, when he was hurt, he still had over 82 catches. Last season, he had 103 catches. He was tied for 10th in the league for wide receivers. I mean, the number's just too small. He should have anywhere from 92 to 100 catches this season, regardless of who's at quarterback. So I got to take over. This is one of my favorite props for Davante Adams.
Yeah, I agree there. I didn't touch it, but he should go there if he's healthy. And then my last prop for the Raiders will be Jacoby Myers, still at plus 150 to go over 750 yards. To me, I couldn't find his total, but it's definitely under 750 yards. If a plus 150 him to go over that, he has 3 straight seasons of over 800 yards, and in 2020 where he went under the total, he has 729. So Jacoby Myers, to me, he's been a solid wide receiver year, even back in New England. Though I think he's a very underrated wide receiver. He used to be a quarterback, so he could sneak it. He could sling it if needed to. So give me the over at give me 750 plus yards at plus 150.
I want to get your opinion on the rookie Brock Bowers coming out of Georgia. 640.5 receiving yards for his rookie year. His touchdown prop is at 4.5, plus 120 towards the over, minus 155 towards the under. Would stay away from the touchdowns. Now, receiving yards is interesting. 640 seems very low for a guy that got drafted 13th overall. I mean, yes, Michael Mayer is good. He's going to learn from a good tight end, but you got Davante Adams, you got Jacoby Myers as well. And let's not forget, he had a high ankle sprain in Georgia, cost him 4 games in his senior season, and he still put up career numbers, 175 catches, 2,538 yards, and 26 touchdowns. Yes, it was college, I understand, but 640 yards for a guy who was a lot of people who thought that he was the best just naturally talent player on the in the draft. I got to take the over, kid.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away. Don't get me wrong. Talent wise, I think Brock Bowers can easily go over this number. It's just I'm gonna trust Devontae and Jacoby just a little more. I gotta see it. Can he go out there and be tight end number 1 week 1? We'll see. One thing that worries me a little bit is last year I was so high on Dalton Kincaid, and he didn't get the starting job. So Dawson knocked got hurt.
Got hurt, yeah.
So we might see that same situation in Las Vegas, where Brock Bowers is easily the most talented tight end in the room, but he might not get those 20 plus 30 plus offensive snaps. He might only get 10 to 15. So I'm gonna just stay away just because I got burned last year on Dalton Kincaid.
I do think he's a good fantasy guy to pick up. His position rank is 135th. He's going to be picked up in 93% of the roster spots. I think I think he's a tight end 2. I think he has a case for tight end 1 in some incidents. So I do think he's worth getting picked up fantasy wise, because I do think a young quarterback, if it is Aiden O'Connell who will play, I do think sometimes it's his safety blanket, and you want a big guy like Brock Bowers to throw over the middle to. So I like Brock Bowers. I think he's going to be picked up in most leagues. I want to go to Zamir White. 2022, he didn't play. He only had 17 snaps. Last year was his first official year coming out of Georgia, 4th round pick. He had 104 carries for 451 yards, only 1 touchdown. The books are thinking he's going to make this next step. His rushing yards is at 775.5, minus 112 both ways. and his rushing touchdowns is at 4.5, -125 towards the over, +105 towards the under. What season are you kind of expecting out of Zamir White?
Don't get me wrong, I expected a solid season, but Josh Jacobs is elite. I feel like he's gonna have a tough time filling those shoes. And to get over 775 and a half with let's just say in a below average offensive line, I think it's gonna be tough to do. So I'm gonna stay away. If anything, I'll lean over 4.5 touchdowns. Maybe they give it to him to punch
Yeah.
it in. But 775, it's a
It's a
lot of
little
yards.
much.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot of yards still.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's no
And not for none,
disrespect.
I expect the Raiders to play behind and
Yeah.
more than half of their games, so they won't be able to run the ball as much. So
Especially with a below average offensive line. No, I agree. They're going to be behind in most games, and they're going to be garbage time. They're not going to run the ball. They're going to throw it. So no, I agree. I think that if anything, I would touch the over for the touchdowns. Stay away from the yards. That's a big jump in just his second legitimate season starting. But kid, we finished the AFC. NFC East, we will start with the Giants. And how about them Cowboys? Hopefully we get a deal done for CD. We could talk about that.
doubt it.
Yeah, no, I doubt that as well. Let's go to the Diamond. Like I said, 6 games on the slate. Some games I really like, but I'll let you start it off first, kid. What do you like first game for Friday?
Yeah, let's get into it though. Let's go to Tampa division matchup. Baltimore Orioles taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Over under sitting at 7.5. Still, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Orioles on the money line. Though -134. I just gotta give it to the Orioles. It's just been a wagon. Don't get me wrong. And I honestly don't like Tampa at home. For some reason, that offense struggles a little bit. Don't get me wrong; they've been playing a little better as of late, but I'm just gonna go with the O's. Give me the O's -134 on the money line.
Yeah, Zach Eflin worries me. I'm not gonna touch Zach Eflin here, especially on the road. That does worry me. For my first game, I was gonna touch the first game of the day, but we have no lines. It's a double header. I'm going to go to that Yankee game. I'm going to touch the team total here. Rodon, he's looked a little better his last few starts at home. I just think the way the Yankees are hitting the ball, keep an eye out, though. Maybe the game does get rained out. It's supposed to, it's been raining all fucking week here. So look for the game might to get postponed. But the way they're swinging the bat, I think they'll do it against Cody Bradford. Only a few starts, so small sample size, but they kind of give him run support. Actually, I kind of like the over. The over is sitting at 8.5 right now. Kind of like the over. We see the Angels just put up 8-9 runs on Thursday against the Yankees. So we're seeing a lot of runs here in Yankee Stadium. I think we could see some more runs. So give me the over for the Yankees and the Rangers.
Heading to Miami, San Diego Padres taking on the Miami Marlins. Over on the sitting at 8.5. Give me the red hot San Diego Padres -138 on the money line. I'm gonna take them on the road. Gonna run the Fins. Have been playing better late. 1-3 out of the last 5, but you gotta roll with the San Diego Padres. I think they're gonna make that playoff push and see if they're able to get in. But I'm gonna roll with them. I like them. They've been red hot. Give me the Padres on the money line.
Favorite play of the day. I am going to lock up, and this is going to surprise you. It's my lock of the weekend. Give me the Blue Jays. Jose Barrios going against the A's. I know we like to fade him here, but I do think this is a good opportunity. I told you there are going to be opportunities where we could take them. Mitch Spence going for the A's. He's just a total fade for me on the road. He wasn't even able to go 3 innings in his last start. He's given up 4+ runs in 3 of his last 4 road starts. And Jose Barrios, yeah, he didn't look good in his last start, but he has looked solid at home. 7-2 with a 2.99 ERA. Batters only hitting 217 off of him. I think this is a good spot for him to bounce back. And for the Blue Jays, they had a nice win against the Orioles tonight on Thursday. I think he's going to limit the A's bat. So -122, -126. I think that's a fair price for the Blue Jays. I'm going to take them here.
All right, they'll head into my final play of the day. Let's go to Chicago. The Chicago Cubs taking on the Chicago White Sox. Still, Windy City matchup. Give me the Cubs still. A little chalky at -141 on the money line, but Chicago was finally able to cut that losing streak at 21, 22 games. Won the other night, but they right back to a loss still, and I think we might see another losing streak. They'll give me the Cubs on the money line on the road. minus 141.
I had a ticket for the next time they win a game was after August 15th. It was a $20 bet to win $2,000, and I was so close, but I needed another week, but they did win. It was after 21 games, so hopefully we get another one. I do like the Padres as well. I know you mentioned it a little earlier on. Cubs team total, I look over towards the under. I know Garrett Crochet at home is kind of a guy we've wanted to kind of back. And I think earlier in the season, if we would have got this number, we would have been like, okay, maybe the White Sox are a shot, but
not now.
Not now. Yeah, no, not now. What else? I do like the Royals here against the Cardinals. Michael Lorenzen going against Miles Mikolas. Minus 116. I like them. Much needed win for the Royals the other night against your Red Sox. They couldn't afford to get swept. Bobby Witt Jr. is a superstar. He had 2 home runs. Now they get to face Miles Mikolas, who this guy just gives up a ton of hard contact, a ton of runs. Not a good formula for a team that already struggles on the road in St. Louis. So I like Michael Lorenzen. I feel like he's been solid. If you just look at his numbers, he really doesn't have the wins because, he was with the Rangers and they just forgot how to hit this season. But I'm going to take the Orioles. He's on a better team now. I feel like they should be a bigger favorite. So I am going to take the Royals for my next play. Anything else you have? I just have one more play.
Yeah, I'm going to lean the Red Sox. I might take them official come tomorrow, though. You got Blanco on the mound for Houston, but we're at Fenway. For some reason, if we were in Houston, though, I honestly would have took the money line. But at Fenway, I don't know. We're fighting right now for the wild card. I think we're only half game back, so I think we need this win. We need this win. Houston's in the thick of things as well. So I'm leaning heavy minus 115 Red Sox on the money line.
It just worries me. They do play better away from Fenway for whatever reason. And Tanner Houck, he's concerning a little bit.
He's
a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
He's either going to throw like a 7-inning, one run game, or he's going to let up 4 by the third.
Yeah, it's never one or the other. It's either something. So last play for me is I'm going to take my dog of the day. I'm going to take the Snakes Diamondbacks over the Phillies. I love them, man. I feel like the total's a little spot on, but the way the Diamondbacks are playing right now, I just can't fade them. 8-2 in their last 10. Them and the Padres are the 2 hottest teams right now. Just 3 games back of the Dodgers in that NL West race. It's getting very interesting down the stretch between those 3 teams. And I know the Phillies, they just took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, but to be honest, I still don't trust them with Wheeler on the mound. And I never thought I'd say this, but I think the Diamondbacks actually have a better, I don't know about better, but I think they have the more consistent lineup and offense than the Phillies right now. So at this number, plus 144, I think it's worth a sprinkle at home. I got to take the Snakes here. So, give me the Diamondbacks as my dog of the day. And before we get up out of here, like I said, bronze medal game, any opinion, and gold medal game before we get out of here. 2 plays quick.
Serbia minus 1.5. I feel like they were just shooting the heck out of the ball, and I think they won. What the announcers are saying during the game is it means so much for one of these teams to finish with medal. Their goal is not to get the gold. Their goal is to finish on the podium and get a medal. So I think Joker, Don Vodkovic, those guys are set to get on that podium, and that's an achievement. So I'm gonna take Serbia to do it. Germany with Derek Struder and all that, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be in the game. It's gonna be a good one. I'm just not waking up at 5:30 to see it. And then honestly, I'm gonna take the plus 16.5. I'm gonna take the plus 16 just because French got that size. Even if Rudy doesn't play, let's just be honest. If Rudy doesn't play, I just feel like defensively, if we're not coming out with that defensive intensity in the first quarter, the French are going to be in the game. But if I'm telling you, we go out there, we put that clamps on, we score 30 plus, we hold them to 14, 15. We're going to take their show early.
2-way parlay. Give me the United States money line and Serbia money line plus 110, baby. Let's fucking go. I will not be up to watch it, but I will be up to watch the United States take home gold.
I might catch the fourth quarter. Maybe I'll be up.
And by the way, we are just running it away with the gold, not gold medals. We're only up 1 against China with 30 gold medals, but 103 medals for the United States of America. China, 73 medals altogether. They are the second. Can you guess the third?
Third country. France.
Yeah, France at 54. Yeah.
That was good.
That was a good job. Good job. I know you just guessed that one.
Yeah,
but any last words before we get up out of here? Any big plans this weekend?
Yeah, it's Jesse's small birthday party at my sister's house, so we're gonna have a good time. So shout out Jesse, been like a mother figure to me. And then Sunday I'm going to Camelback Beach in Pennsylvania. So if anybody out there in Pennsylvania, your boy will be at the spot this Sunday.
Let's fucking go. Everyone go say hi to E up in Pennsylvania. Elvis, thank you so much. Thanks to Pete Nova as well, the Face Off Sports Network, for coming on, previewing the Broncos. But that is going to do it for this Friday edition of the Dream Wager. On behalf of our sponsor, Viva Tequila, Elvis, myself, make sure you guys go follow along our social media, Twitter and Instagram at the Dream Wager. If you miss an episode, no worries. You guys can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give us a rate, review, leave in the comments who you like this upcoming season. All that good stuff really helps the show grow tremendously. So be a friend, tell a friend. Everyone have a great weekend, and we will see you guys on Monday.